Subscribe to Hactually for the ultimate shortcuts to the system. Look, today we are diving into something absolutely wild. We are going to look at a biological mechanism so deeply ingrained in our basic survival instincts that it is literally capping your true potential without you even realizing it. We are talking about something researchers call the central governor theory. And trust me, once you understand this glitch, you're going to look at your own physical limits in a completely different way.
You know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. It's visceral, right? It's undeniable. You're out there on a run, or maybe you're stuck under a heavy bar in the gym, or heck, maybe you're just grinding through the 12th hour of an absolutely brutal, high-stress workday. And suddenly, out of nowhere, it hits you. The wall. Your muscles are burning like they are literally on fire. Your lungs are screaming for oxygen. Your brain starts firing off these massive, blinding alarms telling you to stop what you're doing immediately. You feel completely, utterly empty. As far as you're concerned, you have zero left in the tank. You physically cannot take another step or lift another ounce. It feels like your internal battery is flashing red at 1% and the screen is about to go black.
But what if I told you that this entire sensation, the intense burning, the desperate gasping for air, the totally undeniable feeling of a complete physical breakdown, what if absolutely all of it was a fabricated illusion? I want you to take a second and really think about this. Is that intense exhaustion an actual physical degradation of your body, or is it closer to a software glitch in your internal programming? The science reveals something absolutely fascinating here. It turns out that exhaustion you're feeling, it's largely a lie. That intense, overwhelming feeling of being completely empty is not an actual physical limit, not even close. It is a highly sophisticated, deeply programmed trick being played on you by your own body. When you hit that absolute wall of fatigue, your muscles haven't actually failed yet. Your energy stores are absolutely not empty. Your physical structure is completely 100% intact. It turns out, when your brain is literally screaming at you that you are at 100% capacity, when it is signaling absolute, imminent system failure, your body is actually only at 40%. The pain you are experiencing is not a physical limit, it is just an alarm. I really want to let that sink in for a second, slowly and deliberately. When you feel like you are totally done, you are barely halfway there. And this brings us right to the core of the central governor theory. If we step back and look at the human body strictly through the lens of computer science, this whole thing starts to make perfect sense. Think of your nervous system as the wiring, your muscles and organs are your hardware, and your brain is the CPU. What we might call a central governor glitch is quite simply an artificial software warning completely masquerading as extreme physical pain. It's a pre-programmed line of code designed specifically to manipulate your behavior by synthesizing pure agony. Now, for decades, sports science was completely wrong about this. It's actually crazy to look back on. The old scientific consensus viewed the body purely as a dumb machine. They thought exhaustion was a strict mechanical failure. The prevailing theory was that you stopped running because your muscles simply ran out of ATP. You know, the basic energy currency of your cells. They basically treated the human body exactly like a car running out of gas. Tank is empty, engine stops. Simple. But then, a brilliant researcher named Tim Noakes completely shattered this old paradigm with the central governor theory. This new science fundamentally shifted our understanding. It revealed that it isn't the muscles failing at all. It is a protective operating system stepping in to forcibly shut down the simulation before you can hurt yourself. You have to start thinking of the human brain not as some kind of performance-maximizing engine, but as a highly conservative, incredibly overprotective operating system. Its primary directive, its core, unbreakable programming, is absolutely not to help you win a marathon or finish a massive project at work. Its one and only job is conservation and survival. It is obsessively, stubbornly risk-averse. And because of that incredibly conservative programming, the brain has some very strict hardware priorities. It absolutely must protect the mission-critical hardware, primarily your heart and your vital organs. Think about it. If your brain actually allowed you to push your skeletal muscles until they physically ran out of energy and structurally failed, you could cause catastrophic, permanent damage to your core systems. Your heart could literally fail. So, to prevent that, the brain absolutely refuses to let you get anywhere near that critical point.
The modern data shows us that the brain artificially caps your physical output at about that 40% mark. It purposefully draws a massive line in the sand way before you are actually in any real biological danger. It creates this giant artificial ceiling to ensure that the actual physical failure point, the true 100% mark, is never, ever threatened.
Which means the excruciating pain you feel at that 40% mark is an entirely artificial sensation. It's not real.
It is not the actual feeling of muscle tissue breaking down. It is a manufactured neurological deterrent. The brain is deliberately synthesizing pain to force your system to halt. It's exactly like the dashboard warning light flashing red, violently demanding that you pull the car over immediately, even though you know for a fact there is plenty of oil left in the engine.
And what's really amazing here is that elite operators have actually known this intuitively for years. Long before the lab data caught up, it was already a core tenet of ultra-endurance athletes and Tier 1 military personnel. The Navy SEALs famously live by this exact concept, the 40% rule. Their entire brutal training pipeline is largely designed around breaking through this specific psychological illusion. They are explicitly taught that when your mind is screaming that you are completely done, you are actually only 40% done. That leaves a massive, absolutely staggering reserve. 60%. Think about that number. More than half of your true physical and mental capability is sitting right there inside of you, completely untouched, but locked away behind a massive biological firewall of panic and manufactured pain. So obviously, the ultimate question becomes, how do we get in, right? If 60% of our reserve capacity is locked down by this overprotective operating system, how on earth do we bypass the firewall? How do we hack the system to access this massive reservoir of untapped physical and mental energy, especially when the brain is actively, aggressively trying to shut us down?
Well, to get past it, you have to execute what essentially acts as a panic override. You literally have to reboot the system right in the middle of the exhaustion. When you hit the wall, your system is in a state of absolute high alert. The sirens are blaring. So we have to use a very specific technical protocol to rewrite the system's current status and force it to stand down. First, you absolutely have to understand that the pain signal you are feeling is simply a panic response. That's it. The central governor is panicking because it wrongly assumes the stress you are enduring is going to lead to death. To unlock that remaining 60% reserve, you have to definitively prove to this panicking brain that the physical body is actually entirely safe. You have to send a clear, undeniable signal up the chain of command that everything is totally fine. Now, before we get to the hack, here's what the research strongly says not to do. When you hit that wall, do not try to just speed up. Do not grit your teeth and try to fight the wall with pure aggression. Do not push blindly forward. If you try to fight the pain head-on, you are basically confirming to the operating system that yes, there is a massive emergency. Fighting the panic only triggers a much harder system shutdown. Your brain will just ramp up the pain signals even further until you physically collapse. Instead, the science points to a very specific manual protocol, the Physiological Sigh. Think of this technique as a literal biological cheat code. It's a precise input used to artificially calm the nervous system right in the absolute middle of extreme stress. Here is exactly how you do it. The exact moment you hit the wall, you stop fighting. You execute these exact steps. Step 1, take 2 sharp inhales through the nose. 1 deep inhale followed immediately by a shorter one to fully, completely inflate the lungs. Step 2, release it all with 1 long, slow, controlled exhale out through the mouth. Step 3, consciously, deliberately drop your shoulders away from your ears and smile. This precise sequence forces your heart rate down. It mechanically offloads carbon dioxide and alters your blood chemistry in a matter of seconds. The immediate biological result of this protocol is a total system-wide reboot. By deliberately forcing your physical posture and your breathing into a state of deep relaxation, the data traveling back up to the brain changes completely. The brain suddenly registers the slowed heart rate. It registers the relaxed, dropped shoulders. And it actively updates its status. Oh, okay, we aren't dying. The panic drops, and the exact moment the panic drops, the artificial pain subsides. The firewall finally opens up. And the best part is, you can apply this manual override code across the board, no matter what you're doing. Whether you're an elite-level athlete or just a normal person trying to get through a brutal day. You can use it in the final grueling mile of a marathon. You can use it when you are stuck under the absolute last rep of a heavy set and your muscles are shaking out of control. You can even use it in the 11th hour of a massive work sprint when your brain fog is so incredibly thick you can barely read the words on your screen. The application is exactly the same. Execute the Physiological Sigh, send the manual override, and watch the system completely reboot, granting you instant access to that massive hidden reserve. The reality here is just so profound. The absolute limits you feel on a daily basis, the boundaries you have willingly allowed to define what you can and absolutely cannot achieve, they are not real. They are nothing more than suggestions, programmed by a highly cautious, wildly overprotective operating system. Understanding this glitch means we no longer have to accept those software warnings as the absolute truth. We simply don't have to play by the rules of a system that actively prioritizes extreme caution over capability. You now have the manual override code. You have the actual power to take complete control of your own hardware. The glitch is entirely exposed. Your reserve is sitting right there, 60% of it, just waiting for you to tap into it. So the next time your brain starts screaming at you that you are entirely out of gas, are you going to just listen and quit, or are you going to use the override? Subscribe to Hactually and start hacking the human.